Welcome back. This is lesson 2 of unit 2 in module 1. My name is Sarah Hayes, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So what are we doing and learning today? What do you remember about being a close reader? Yesterday we talked about being a close reader, and these are the things that close readers do. They look closely at the pictures. They reread important parts of the text. They act out important parts of the text. They listen carefully to the words. And then they talk with a classmate or someone about the text. Our learning target for today is I can answer questions using key details about the problem in protecting the Amazon from Off to Class. So today we're going to be looking at what the problem of our story is. I'm going to give you just a second to kind of look at this picture, see what you notice, and think about maybe what the pictures are suggesting or what the pictures are telling you. And then you can also look at some of the headings. So based on the words and pictures from this story, what do you think this book will be about? So based on these pictures and based on the words and the headings, what do you think this book or article will be about? We're going to go ahead and get started reading. So, Messias lives in the remote village of Zinao, deep in the Brazilian rainforest. His village is on the banks of the Rio Negro, and the only way to get there is by boat. To get to the closest city, Manaus, takes 5 days by canoe or 30 to 40 hours by speedboat. Until recently, the village was virtually cut off from the rest of the world. There was no electricity and no phones. Without electricity or a connection to the outside world, the villagers found it hard to earn a living without turning to illegal hunting, trapping, or logging. The tiny one-room school offered only basic primary school up to about grade 3. If students in the village wanted to go further in school, they had to move to Manaus. So what was this page mostly about? I know we haven't read the side story yet, but those 2 paragraphs that we just read, what were they mostly about? And why is it hard for the children in Zizal, Brazil, to go to school? When we're looking at paragraph 1, remote is a word that means far away from where most people live. So our little village is a remote village, and it's far away from where the people live in the main city. So it says, where does Mises live? What is the only way to get to Mises remote village? How many days does the text say it takes to get to the closest city called Manaus if you go by canoe? And what does that mean? The next city is far away or close to Misaus. So from the text, we learned that Mises lives in Zizal, which is in the Brazilian rainforest. So we can go back to the text to find that answer. The next question said, what is the only way to get Mises to Mises remote village? It says to get there, you have to go by boat or canoe. So the only way to get there is by boat. So we can also go back into the text to figure this answer out. The next question says, how many days does the text say it takes to get to the closest city if you go by canoe? So it says it takes 5 days by canoe. So again, going back to the text and finding our answer, it was 5 days. And does that mean the next city is far away or close to Misas? And we would say that it's pretty far away. Looking at paragraph 2, what doesn't the village have where Misas lives? If there is no electricity or phones where Misas and his friends live, what are some things they can't do? What have you just learned about the school where Misas goes? And what would students in the village have to do if they wanted to keep going to school after 3rd grade? So again, we're going to go back and find our answers in paragraph 2 because we're pulling details from the text. So our first question was, what doesn't the village have? So it says, until recently, the village was virtually cut off from the rest of the world. There was no electricity and no phones. There was also no connection to the outside world, and there was no internet. So we are finding that in paragraph 2. If there was no electricity or phones, where did Misas and his friends live? What are some things they can't do? Some things they can't do is they couldn't talk to other people in other places, and they didn't have electricity, so anything like air conditioning or TVs, they weren't able to do.